Are there approaches or tactics you use to help increase your big L trajectory?
Yes, there are other tactics, right? So I have a post that I call the Big L notation. If people want to look it up, they can see how crazy I went into the conception of Big L notation. So one is you want to reflect on the lessons that you've learned and to not repeat mistakes. Most people are not one trick ponies, so that's an L of one. They're just constant. Learn one thing and then they repeat it for the rest of their lives. Most people are not that. They do push themselves a little bit, but they also forget a lot and they don't really reflect on how they learn. So they're lossy learners. So they're log n in terms of their number of years of learning. As the more years go by, the rate of learning slows down. This is a very common trajectory. But if you push yourself and if you store everything that you learned, then you become a linear learner, which is an infinite learner, right? A person who just learns a new thing every single year and materially improves in a linear fashion, right? Like the 10 years in, you're twice as good as you were 5 years in. That is actually very, very hard to do and something that's extremely commendable. But I also think there are people who treat their career with much more introspection and much more intention, such that they actually learn faster the more years they have. So they learn in the form of like an n squared capacity. And I think that is a very interesting algorithm for learning, right? Which means that you're not only learning the things you learned in that year, you're also looking back at everything you learned in the previous years, and then extracting from that some meta lessons that help you learn faster in future years, which is an interesting form of learning. So that's one, and so those are all just sort of self-learning, single player, personal learning, and then you add to that P, which is the number of people you learn with. So L times N, L of N times P, which is like I have a learning group of like 5 people. I learn as a function of the questions and the struggles and the lessons that my 5 friends who are learning with me have, insofar as I do. And let's fast forward all the way to the most extreme version of this. If you form a community around the thing that you're trying to learn and you actively engage with the community, you actually learn as a function of the square of the number of nodes in that community. This is very classic Metcalfe's law type of formulation. And that is the sort of fastest possible way of learning in terms of just understanding, like in terms of just like that pure theory of big L notation. I will caveat one thing, right? Learning includes doing. I think a lot of people will view the form of learning that I'm talking about as purely just reading stuff, but you can only get so far reading stuff. You also have to do stuff to learn some things that will stay out of your grasp because people don't write them down.